what made you, reach out to Remote Latinos?
As any company, you go through these growth phases where you realize you need to start bringing on more talent in order for you to keep up with the demand. And surely enough, we're going to be needing another one. You took it upon yourself to making sure you would give me that white glove treatment and getting the best service possible.
What made him different than the other prospects, the recruiting prospects that you had? What are curveballs that you use? Because you mentioned skill tests, and how can other people that are watching this video that are business owners, how can they implement this as well in their business? For anyone watching this, Jace, why should companies hire Remote Latinos?
Got to give you guys again an A+ on the delivery.
What's up, guys? This is Omer Bloch. I'm here with Jace Gray, who recently hired a recruiter for us, and I'm here to ask him a few questions about his experience working with Remote Latinos and overall the results he's getting now from the new recruiter he's getting. So, Jace, you are running a recruiting company. Tell us a little about the business that you're currently operating.
Yeah, and absolutely. Thank you for having me here, Omer. So on my end, I run a recruitment company for the last 4.5 years, placed over 1,000 people in over 200 companies. We do very, very well. A lot of the companies that we're working with are either in software, manufacturing, digital marketing, you name it, advertising. That's usually the buttload of where a lot of our clients are coming from. And over the past 4 years, we've kind of established ourselves as a sales-dominant sales recruitment agency where we specialize in placing top sales talent. We also place leadership, and we also place ops from director of operations to COOs.
Nice. So you've been operating for many years now, right? What, 6-7 years?
No, 4.5.
4.5 years. So I mean, that's pretty long time. You know what I mean? And one of the biggest things is that you're also a recruiting company. So a lot of times people wonder, do recruiting companies also recruit from other companies to get talent? And at the end of the day, they do, because if you need the talent and you can't find it yourself, or you want to outsource and try to, save yourself your own time, why not do this? Have you used other companies to hire, or has it been just straight using your own company to hire people?
Yeah, to be upfront with you, we don't necessarily like working with a lot of companies that are out there. I tend to see that they tend to miss the mark quite a bit. And personally speaking, I have such a high standard when it comes to hiring people. The problem that I face is, like, as you know, me running a recruitment company comes down to bandwidth. How much can you actually handle versus what you can actually do? And if you are at a point where you need some outside help, then by all means, go forward.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We haven't really used a recruiting company before, maybe 1 or 2 times. So it's something rare for us as well. But obviously, we partnered up. You reached out to me a few months back looking for a recruiter. And tell me a little bit about why you were needing another recruiter when you had recruiters, and what made you, reach out to Remote Latinos.
Yeah. So as any company, you go through these growth phases where you realize you need to start bringing on more talent in order for you to keep up with the demand. And surely enough, we're going to be needing another one probably within the next, once we hire this SDR, we'll probably need another one within 6 to 8 weeks, if not sooner. That's basically what we're seeing right now. But just like anything else, right, you get hit with a bandwidth problem. And if you're trying to scale a business, you can't necessarily grow if every single one of your team members is at capacity. So, you and I have had a pretty fun relationship over time, and that's kind of materialized and it's kind of gone both ways. So when I came over to you asking, like, hey, is this something that's within your realm? You took it upon yourself to making sure you would give me that white glove treatment and getting the best service possible. So I definitely felt as if, a lot of the candidates that were brought up to me were good candidates. It just so happens that when it comes to looking for what I'm looking for, I'm very picky because I know what the right person can produce. So we ended up working together. We ended up bringing someone on, and he started in April. He started April 1st with us, and he's at the rate that he's running right now. I won't be surprised if he, for any recruitment company that's out there, by the way, we structure our revenue a little bit different than closers, because closers, they could be like, yeah, they closed 1.4 million, and that's great. For us, having someone who just came in with under a year of agency recruiting, I would say he's hitting multiple 6 figures, like multiple 6 figures. He's on pace to do that by the end of this year.
Yeah, it's really interesting because Jason and I go way back, actually. I've sent him a lot of different business, and I was one of his top affiliates, maybe top at one point. And he was one of the people that inspired me to actually start the company because I love the opportunity of helping people. And today we're focusing mostly on the Latino talent, and then he focuses more on North American. I know you started to hire from other parts of the world. And what's interesting is when you came to me looking for a recruiter, we don't specialize in this. It's not a specialty for us. So I was like, hey, let's work with you. Let's see. And we present you candidates. Like you said, there were some good ones, some people that had potential, but they weren't hitting the mark. And then the guy that you ended up hiring actually came from my personal network. He like randomly messaged me. I randomly saw it. I'm like, I don't know if I have something for you. I'm not sure. I don't have people hitting you up for recruiting. Maybe I'll hire you. I don't know. It was just like a lot of uncertainty. And I was like, hey, Jason, I have this one guy. And it was really the Hail Mary. That's the truth, because we presented you to a few people and it just wasn't going there. And I really wanted to make this work. But, I know you have this same feeling whenever you work with a client that either you have a relationship with or it's a role that you've never done before. And if it doesn't work out, it's kind of like it sucks, but you don't really feel that bad, because as long as like things ended up in the right way and, the partnership ended in fair terms, I think it's a win-win, right? So for me, it was like, man, we don't really hire for this role. And then it was really a Hail Mary. I'm like, hey, we have this guy. What do you think? And you immediately liked his resume. You got an interview and you were ready to hire him right there and then. But, obviously you still went through your process. Let me ask you this. So
I definitely grilled him in the past.
Definitely did. What made him different than the other prospects, the recruiting prospects that you had?
So you got to understand, when you're in the world of recruiting, it's all about being on your toes. A lot of the great candidates that you sent over to me prior to that, they were great on paper. They were great when we would have interactions. But when I would throw them curveballs, they would get hung up. And that's the thing that sets apart from the great recruiters. And I spotted that very quickly with Mitch. The moment I threw him curveballs, he was on his toes. He was sharp. He was sharp, as you can imagine. The beautiful thing about it was I grilled him we took him through 3 to 4 tests. He passed every single one of them. He didn't pass them with flying colors, but he passed them, every single one of them. And that gave me the comfort I needed. But then when he started with us, I intentionally put him on the most difficult role that we have to see how he would respond to that, to say the least. So we started off with that, and then he passed, and then we like anything else, we start feeding him. And he's at a point, Omer, where he's a guy from UK. In UK, as you know, I'm here right now. And as you know, they don't make a lot of money in UK. And they get taxed pretty high. Like very, very, very high. More than New York. So he's on pace. Look, to be upfront with you, he's on pace to make more money living outside the country of UK than he was ever inside the country of UK. Which is amazing. At the rate that he's running right now. Yeah. So that's what sets it apart.
I love that, and I love the sharpness. You can't teach sharpness.
No.
How do you teach that? Hey, be sharper. Hey, read more books. Hey, when you say curveballs?
Yeah. Well, the first things first is that you need to recreate the process. Like if you're going to be hiring for any position inside your organization, you need to recreate that role, from the responsibilities to what they're going to be facing to the most difficult clients, and create a scenario based on tests where you from easy to the most difficult for them. So if you're hypothetically, like say, hiring for, like say, appointment setter, let's say appointment setter, you want them to walk you through what a typical day in their life looked like, how many phone calls they were making, right? That's the easy conversation. The next step would be, hey, let's start setting some role play sessions, which is the most standard. And then if they pass that, then the next step right there after that, it would be making them go through some sort of assessment. For me, the assessments I always say they're not important, but they generally are important, because in my world, at least, it tells me if this person has that motor. And that's another thing that I look for in candidates. Like, do they have a motor? Do I have to babysit? Do I have to handhold? If I have to feel like I'm doing these things for them, then they're dragging the weight. And unfortunately, when it comes to the world of recruiting, you're as strong as your weakest link.
For sure, especially in our industry, right? One of the things that we started doing assessments. We used to do like personality tests and like random skill tests. Now our assessments are literally based on the actual job, based on the last 2 weeks. Like I literally give them something that, hey, like you mentioned, hey, I have the hardest client, and can you find me candidates for him? Or here's a here's a video I just did. Can you edit this video? Now, of course, you need to create parameters and expectations, but it's no longer random. It used to be random, and we used to test it out, and it worked, obviously. But I think if this is something I learned from Leila Hermosi, and she said, creating the best skill tests are created based on the last 30 days of your needs. What are the last 30 days, and because you're hiring this role for a reason. What if they were coming in? What are the tasks they would be doing? Create a skill test around that, and have them do the job actually, because you can see how they're going to operate and how they're going to respond. So, for anyone watching this, Jace, why should companies hire remote Latinos?
Omer, I've made a LinkedIn Live today just talking about this, and this is so relevant to our conversation. It's all about speed right now. The landscape of recruiting has massively changed. I'm telling you, and you see this, and for those that are not in our space, don't necessarily see what we see, but we could both easily say that finding top talent now is going to be harder than it's ever been before. So if you're relying on the whole, let me put a job ad on Indeed, let me put a job ad on LinkedIn, I promise you, guys like Omer and I are going to come in and freaking crush you, because we already know in our network who's wanting. For a good example, I'm headhunting someone for a marketing opportunity for a specific, and I know who I have in my pipeline, and I'm going to plug them out from their company, and the owner's probably going to be pissed. But don't worry, it's nobody that we know, so that's a good thing. Yeah. But they're going to be pissed. But that's what's happening right now. So if you're not working with someone like Remote Latinos, you're right now falling short of not being able to have talent on demand where that's reliable. And I'm seeing this across all the board. If you have a system that's proven to work and it can run at a fast pace, what's the killer of all deals, right? Speed. If you're not running fast enough, if you're not getting the fastest candidates right now that are A players, it's you're setting yourself up, Omer, and you know this. Everyone's right now setting yourself up for 60, 90 days not working with you guys when it comes to this process. So it's a no-brainer, but it's one of those things where you just got to get over the freaking hurdle. You got to work with companies like us in order for us to help you get to that next level, and we know it better than anybody else.
100%. We've been doing it combined for 10 years. We've hired thousands of people at this point. We've worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of companies. And at the end of the day, it's about speed, it's about quality, and it's about growth. Like where are you trying to get to? Are you trying to grow? Are you going to try to scale? We're both working with 7-8-figure companies. We have clients that are making 7 figures a month, right? So we see I see the biggest difference between a company at 7 figures a month and a company that's not. It's just speed and implementation. It's just like, it's not like they have this crazy product and service like sometimes, but most of the time it's just like their speed of implementation, taking action, taking risk, right? Because hiring is a risk. And I think when you hire Remote Latinos, when you hire Jay's Great Consulting, you get to minimize your risk because we do the entire job of making sure people are going to be good ahead of time, right? And it's funny because we've used each other's services, and I get to, eventually I'll do an interview with you about this. But both me and my business partner has hired tons of people from you at this point, and for his business. And it's just funny because at the end of the day, we want to leverage each other to continue helping each other grow. But this is what I always tell people: we, Remote Latinos, and you, Jace Gray, we have to have the best teams in the world. Because if we don't have good teams, how the heck can we help other people? So once we have an A-player team, we can then create that type of scenario for other clients.
Yeah, and by the way, I'll put this into perspective for those who have never used a recruitment agency before. If you've ever had a killer salesperson who knows how to follow up, and that's like one of your biggest strengths is you follow up like a madman, and it shows up on your videos, on your skits there. But it's like the equivalent to having a killer closer who knows how to follow up, who knows the full sales cycle, who knows how to do everything right in order to propel and 5x multiply your company revenues just with that one person. So when you have that person, just think about how will you feel knowing that it's running without you. Yeah, you could be a solo entrepreneur. Yeah, you could be doing all the right things, but just taking that responsibility off your plate for a moment. I promise you right now, if you have that person in your pipeline, I will find them and I will headhunt them somewhere else if they're not satisfied. And I guarantee you, 90% of the time, they're not satisfied because they don't have a moral compass or they don't know what direction you're taking their organization to. So point blank being is that you want to have access to people like us. You want to have access to the demand on talent because we're going to get to that talent pretty quickly. And once you get that feeling that you have someone on your team that's a killer, trust me that all you want to do is find the next person, because it's like a drug, and it's a healthy drug, because you're like, let's do this again. Let's do this again. Exactly. It's powerful, but it takes time, and it takes precision. And some people just don't have the time for that. So that's what we're doing here, saving you time from doing this yourself.
Saving time with the process, and saving time when you actually get someone. And the last thing I'll say is, if Tesla, Amazon, Apple, and all these Fortune 500 companies use recruiting companies, why are you not using us? Right? That's something to consider. Like, they have recruiters, and not only that, their recruiters then use recruiting companies, because at the end of the day, it's all about who has the most leverage. And one recruiter, if you have one recruiter versus Remote Latinos versus Jace Gray Consulting, good luck. Good luck. We're going to kill you every time. And that's okay, because then you're going to come work with us. And guess what? Both Jace and I, we both work with recruiters. Like, if you have a recruiter, great, come work with us. If you don't have recruiters, you need us even more. You know what I mean?
That's like me trying to reinvent the wheel instead of just going to someone that's already killing it and knows how to do it, right? You feel more at ease. You feel more, and that's all that we're doing here. So I got to give you guys again an A+ on the delivery. Mitch, he's like Jay's, he's in Argentina, so his expenses are pretty low. He doesn't know, like he's like low key trying to keep his excitement together, but I can see it right through it that he can't wait for that money to hit his bank account. But hey, the guy's a killer. The guy's a killer, and you know what to look for. I know what to look for. Let's just keep doing it for others. That's all it is.
Let's go. We help the only way we win is by helping others win.
Amen.
Boom. Jay's great. I appreciate your time. I appreciate hopping on here and becoming a case study for us. And I'm sure we're going to keep hiring from you, and you're going to keep hiring from us, so that way we can continue helping the world become a better place. Appreciate you, bro.
Absolutely. Take care, my man. Bye-bye.